What is the hardest part about using the GI Bill? Well, I am currently a student. I'm actually on my last semester before I graduate, and I just thought I would share some tips on things that I learned using the GI Bill, some things that caught me off guard and surprised me, and hopefully will help you make a decision if you want to use your GI Bill or if you even want to join the military for free college. The first thing is, yes, it actually does work. The GI Bill is real. You can go to school for free after you graduate. The way I did it, though, was I used tuition assistance while I was on active duty. So I was able to get my associate's degree entirely for free while I was still in the service. There's a lot of limitations, like you have to be a certain rank, you can't have gotten into any disciplinary issues, but if you have a job that doesn't take you out in the field, every week, you can still get a good online connection. You should be able to find time at some point during your first enlistment to get an associate's degree, and I highly recommend anyone to do that if they're interested in pursuing higher education. The benefit to this, as it pertains to your GI Bill, is that you want to maximize that GI Bill, because the GI Bill only gives you 4 years of full-time school equivalent. That is, 2 semesters each year, not including summer or winter for for the school year. You only get 2 semesters. You could use more, but that would count more against you. They do the math a little weird because it's not years in school for the GI Bill, it's months. So they count however many months. So the benefit to getting your associates while you're still in is that you still have, the equivalent of 8 semesters worth of school. And you could actually use that for a master's, which I'm still debating if I want to do that. But either way, you can't go wrong. Even if you're not able to get any schooling done while you're in, you could still just get out and you'll be starting as a freshman or first or second semester freshman, and you'll be able to use your GI Bill to get your bachelor's. Or you could, like how I kind of did it, I just left the Marine Corps after a while and go back to school, and at least that way you don't go back as a freshman taking all these basic classes. You're starting as a upper division junior. That's, I think, the best way, but obviously everyone's situation is a little bit different. So what caught me off guard after using my GI Bill? Well, number one, at the time that I used the GI Bill, I didn't get paid right away. It actually took the entire semester before I got paid, and that caused a lot of problems. The reason for that, it was a unique time. The F.E.A.R GI Bill was just signed into law by the president, and that changed a lot of things, and unfortunately the VA system couldn't keep up. I guess the computer systems are a little old or something like that, and so they weren't able to make payments to veterans. And so unfortunately it wasn't until almost Christmas when I got my payment for the semester. If I didn't have an emergency fund saved up, I would have been in a lot of trouble. And so I recommend, if you're planning on going to school for the first time or use your GI Bill for the first time, definitely have a little bit of money set aside so you can make your rent payments, so you can possibly pay tuition and books, but definitely at least know how much you're going to be paying in rent, or at least have a ballpark figure so you can have just a little emergency fund set up just in case, because anything can happen. It's when you go to a new school and use your GI Bill for the first time, you're getting put into the system for the first time, a new profile, and sometimes this kind of stuff takes a while. So definitely have that. Most people, pretty much everyone has the GI Bill go perfectly smoothly. Could have been just a unique case. So what next? So after being in the military, especially if you are enlisted and you joined right out of high school, you were young, maybe younger when you joined, 18 if you're like me. When you get out of the military, that's the first time basically in your whole life that you don't have somebody standing over you telling you what to do all the time. In high school, when you're under 18, it's your parents. And then if you join the military right out of high school, it becomes your recruiter or your drill instructor. And then when you finally become a Marine, it's, everyone higher ranked than you. You have every waking moment is decided for you. You know where you have to go for PT, and you know where you have to be at all times. The benefit to that is you can really turn off your brain. You don't have to think. I didn't really worry about my PT scores too much. I mean, of course, I pushed myself, but there was never the question of, am I going to PT this week? Because we did exercise enough, with the unit and in groups and in teams to where I never had to think about that. But when I left the military, suddenly I didn't have anyone looking out for me in that way. There was no physical fitness test I had to train for. There was no team leader, no squad leader that was looking over me and paying attention to what I was doing or PTing. Everything's 100% on my own. And this theme follows to other aspects of civilian life during your transition. And that can be very, very hard for a lot of veterans, especially if you're not used to being self-guided, not able to motivate yourself. I experienced it. I know it's very, very hard. It's a crazy hard transition, and you kind of know about it going in as you EAS, as you get out of the military. It is very, very challenging, and it definitely will test you. I think even if you're ready to get out, you may be surprised just kind of how much of a culture shock it is. Just like how much of a culture shock it was for you to go to boot camp when you had people yelling at you, telling you how to stand in line, how to stand up straight, how to make your bed, how to put on your shoes, how to tie your shoelaces, the most basic things. That was a culture shock for me, and probably for everyone that joins the military. It's the same way in reverse. When you get out, suddenly you have no one looking out over for you. Really, no one cares. You're just on your own. How can you counterbalance this? I highly recommend not going through it alone, especially if you're not in a relationship when you get out. That can be even harder. For me, I was married, and so I had that. I had family close by, so I had that support system as well. But I imagine it's just so much harder for veterans that get out, maybe go to a new area, or they don't have anyone next to them that they can rely on. It's infinitely harder. So what can you do? I highly recommend meeting people at the veterans office, talking to people, talk to other veterans, go to the meetings, go to the hangouts, and I guarantee you that there's somebody else that at the same school, maybe even taking some of the same classes as you, going through the exact same thing, but you'll never know if you don't reach out. Every college, every school that I know of has outstanding clubs, bike club, swimming club, hiking club, all these things. That can be a lifesaver, and that can help motivate you. Especially can help you when it comes to physical fitness, give you motivation to get up, on weekends. It's crazy, for me, when I was going through my first couple semesters, it was so surreal only having to be at school at the time I had my class. I thought it was so strange. Classes are only, an hour or two every class, and, 4 classes. 4 classes on the semester system is full-time load, 12 credits, and that's what you need to get the full benefits of your GI Bill, and that's what I did most of my time. And every class is maybe 2 to 3 hours a week, and that's not very much time. So really, as a full-time student, that's basically like a part-time schedule. Of course, you'd have to be staying on top of the homework and doing all the reading and all that stuff, but you'll find yourself with a lot of free time, and it's very easy to feel like you're just falling into the abyss, and very, very easy to lose some traction and motivation, especially with nobody. If you miss a class, no one's going to care. Your teacher's not going to care. The students sitting next to you aren't going to care unless you become friends with somebody. But you can count on nobody caring. If you don't turn an assignment in, the teacher's just going to mark it as a 0 and your grade will go down. No one's going to talk to you. No one's going to care. And that can be very, very challenging. Just a completely different mindset. So you're going to have to find a way to motivate yourself. And you can try to motivate yourself by, again, joining clubs, joining organizations, finding a network of people that can pay attention to you and that can rely on you and you can rely on them and give you motivation to keep some kind of schedule and to help you follow through with your goals. My personal goal has throughout school has been to attend every single class, no questions asked. I made it a very strong point to pretend like school was work and I was getting paid in a way you are on the GI Bill, and I made it my mission to go to every single class early, show up on time, show up with everything I needed. And thankfully I could count on one hand in the couple years I've been in school, how many classes I missed. And that can help motivate you. You never make sure you understand the boundaries. I would have some goals. If your goal is to have great attendance, that's kind of a foundation. If your goal is to never be late, or if your goal is to be a good student, you want to make sure that you understand how to accomplish those goals. So you want to sit in the front, you want to talk to people, talk to your professor, meet your professor, make sure they know your face, go meet people in your veterans office, join veteran clubs, join sports clubs. There are people just like you that are going through it, and even if they're not a veteran, you can still make friends with people, even if they're younger than you, and they can still help motivate you to do well in school. So anyway, if you have any questions about the GI Bill or about life as a Marine or as a Marine veteran, please leave them down below. I'd be happy to answer them in a future video, and I will see you guys on the next one.